Thank you.
Okay, actually, this criteria which we are using, it should fetch out only single record. Okay, so that's why the events are failing, because it cannot handle the process builder cannot handle the multiple records at a time. So that's why it's failing. This criteria should have to fetch out only single record. So let's put more condition. So I take a look at it. What is that? Employee record. Let's put three things over here. Skill and state and city. I put all the conditions over here. So let me put the state, Alabama, and then skills, so that only the respective records. Active listening. Okay. Skill, state, Alabama edition. I put so that I will get only the single record. And then it is creating a task. So I will see a task up here when if it's finished. Now I go to a contact. And I will update the phone number. It's got updated. Let's check it's anything happen up here. I think again I need to check the email. No exceptions. I activated that. It's activated. Platform event. Let me check my it's that I haven't related that task to this. That's why it might be. It's not showing up there. Let's again update this one. Yeah, you can see it's creating. The subject is missing. That's why it's showing something like this. Let's add the subject. Subject. And we can also add the due date. Okay, now again, if I change the okay, I change the phone number, my trigger for fire the notification, and that notification is captured by this process builder, and this process builder will uh, create a task for this employee. So this is a comes like something like a chain that will fire. Yeah, you can see there is a notification created. The notification, custom notification got created and showing up here. So in this way, we can use the notification, this platform event, platform events to create any task or create any activity, to perform any activity via a platform events. Okay. So if you guys have any question, then you can ask or forget. Hello. Hello. Where is so this one? Yeah, if its phone number is changing, we are creating a platform event object, and then we are sending a platform event here. And once the platform event capture, it's captured at here, and then we find a record to which we need to update, and it should be unique. Okay, it should not be fetch multiple records, so it should be unique. Because why it's not able to why it's causing a, because the process builder was designed to only to handle a single record at a time. It is not it is not to handle the multiple records time at a time. Yeah, we can run the process builder, one record means one record comes in the process builder and is completed, but multiple records can be comes and run the process builder one by one, but it cannot be handle multiple records uh, in a same process. Yeah, process builder cannot handle the multiple records in the same process, but yes, multiple records can comes and execute the process builder one by one. So this is not the situation that multiple records comes to exit. If we have a multiple platform events that firing that process builder, and in that employee record is that from that event, if we got single employee records, so it can be handled. It can be handled by a process builder, but this situation is cannot be handled inside a process builder. If we have to run the process builder for the multiple records, so it will not be handled by a process builder. It will throw an exception, and then we have a use the criteria, and after that we just whatever with the action we can take to and perform. We can create anything, we can create a new records, we can create a post to a chapter, anything that we want to do, that we can do. And if you want to any since I don't want to add the criteria, I just want to demonstrate that how a platform even can capture and create a employee record, uh, employee record related to that employee task related to that employee record. And one thing is important that here, so since we are able to perform an activity which is not related, means since this contact is not related to that employee record. Yeah, it is not related to that employee record, means I was it is not any way related. It's just a lookup, but it's not related directly related to an employee records. So this, whenever we have a such kind of situation that we can want to perform any activity or any uh, means any kind of activity that is not related to that particular means both objects does not have any relation, that will also helps this platform event also help to execute that relation, uh, perform that activity without any relation. So that is the also a important use of platform events, because we can design a way so that without any means usually what we have to where usually we can achieve the situation only solution only when there is a relationship, and the relation might be a lookup or master data, means there must be some relationship. But via the platform events, there will not have to be a relationship between that two objects. Okay, there should not be a relationship between the two objects, and we can perform the easily we can perform the whatever we can do that. Suppose if this employee does not have lookup to the contact object, means it means that it does not have any kind of relationship with the contact, but still I can perform any task or any kind of operation over this employee record. I can do that via the platform events, because this whenever the phone number changes, trigger will execute it, and uh, it will fire a platform event, and that platform event is captured by a process builder, and process builder execute whatever is there. And you can also know that a process builder can execute a flow too. So, and a flow is much more powerful than a process builder. So we can perform any kind of activities in that flow, and it will execute that action. So it's a kind of thing that whenever we have want to execute uh, means platform events, you can just conclude with that. Means a platform event is just thing that we have to just first I had talked you that it's just a thing that it will just broadcast its message, something like the radio. Means it, but whenever the changes happen, it broadcasts that message, and whoever subscribe to that platform event get the notification. And there is a no relationship between that who is firing that event and who is receiving that event. If there is will be a no relationship, there may or may not be a relationship. There's and the person or the object or the thing that subscribe to that platform event can receive the notification as like in this process builder, I subscribe to that platform event, and then perform all the activities after whenever I get the notification from that platform event, and it will perform that activity at that time. So it is a quite a simple example that how we can use a platform event and how we subscribe to a platform event. Usually platform event are used to subscribe uh, via subscribe by the things which is outside the Salesforce, means either by a third party tools or a some legacy system that will subscribe to a platform event, so that the any change happen to a database can notify to that. Suppose we are working on the AWS server, and whenever contact will update it, that AWS server will have to be notified that hey, the contact is updated, and make the respective changes in their own system. So at that time they subscribe to a platform event, and whenever the uh, change happens, the trigger will broadcast that event, and that will received by that AWS server, and they can do whatever with the changes that need to be done at that place. So it's something like that whenever we have to notify to any thing, third party server. Okay, so any questions? Okay. Now, since we are moving to the next topic, now since we are moving to the third party server, there is a communication between the third party server. So one more topics come into this point, that how to make communication between the two two technologies. For that, we have an option called APIs. Okay, API is a term that used in any technologies that we are using. That API is a thing. API, we call API as a middleware that will help us to communicate between two different technologies. Suppose we want to send an information from Salesforce to AWS system, not via platform events. Platform event is a different means we want just like that. We want to send an information from a Salesforce to a AWS server, or Google, or any third party's legacy system, or any website that we are designing apart from the Salesforce, and that website or that everything wants to communicate with the Salesforce. At that time, how we can communicate? It's not possible to communicate with the Salesforce, because because they don't know how they get the data. At that moment, the API comes into act. What it will do, that it will take the information from the one server and push the information to the another server. Okay, and just do the vice versa. Means it will taking the information from, suppose Salesforce wants to communicate with the AWS. So what it will do that it will take whenever AWS requested to some data. So what it will do that we will API will take out the data from the Salesforce and put that data to the AWS. So APIs plays an important role during the communication or during the transferring of data from one technology to another technology. It's a term. Means it's a term that programmable term that is used to only to transfer the data from one technology to another technology. So so while working with the Salesforce, the API are considered into two parts. They are categorized into the two parts on the basis of mode in which they are working. Means since we are transferring the data from one technology to another technology, just like that, if we are transferring the data from Salesforce to AWS or AWS to Salesforce, both are transferring the data, and that data is transferred in which way. That's the one important thing, is that how the data is being transferred. So the data is being transferred into two formats, that either it will be in XML format or in a JSON format. Okay, either will be in XML format or in the JSON format. There are two ways in which format the data is transferred. Okay, JSON is the most usable format in which the data is transferred. Means you can see at every place that JSON is in use to transfer the data, and XML is you can find only that places where the security model is too high. Where whenever there is a security model is too high, and authentication process in that, or in the authentication process we use the XML. Okay, so that's the means it will used only at two places. Means whenever we have a security model, just like we need to authenticate from legacy system which is running their operation in a local server, at a local server, or at any server, just like a company purchase an AWS server, and we want to authenticate with that AWS server, and it is and it's a means and if we want to authenticate that to that AWS server, and the company install its whatever the Java application into that server, or that Java application present at their local server. What happens, this kind of thing, that so at that time we use the authentication via XML. And we have another option called JSON. JSON is called quite simpler than XML. It's quite more easily to readable, means user can easily read it, and it also can easy to transferable, means most of the data is transferred from the in a JSON format. Okay, so so on the basis of these two, XML and JSON, the APIs are divided into the Salesforce. And we have seen that uh, so they are divided into form that we have a REST API and SOAP API. Okay, we have a kinds of API in the Salesforce. First is the REST API, and second is the SOAP API. REST API is a kind of thing that it's just like a URL. Means suppose we have we need to communicate with a system, communicate with the system, communicate with the system or a third-party server, and at that moment we want to hit a URL, and that URL receive the information. That URL will give me all the information that I want to retrieve. Suppose AWS want to communicate with Salesforce, and he wants an URL so that he can hit that URL and get all the contact details. Okay, so whenever these kind of things that we need to do, we need to hit an URL and get all the details of that system. At that moment we design a REST API for that. It just in the REST API we just design an URL, and that whenever any third party system or any system want to get hit that URL, they will get the information related they will get the information, feed it in that URL. Okay, and then we have a SOAP API. SOAP API is something like that. It's more secure than a REST API, and it's more fixed in a means fixed in the sense we can say that it's more concrete than a REST API. Why I'm saying that? Because usually the SOAP API used where we at whenever we have we don't want to use any make a request on a URL. Means we don't, whenever we don't want to use any request, make a request to the URL and get the information. So API is usually used whenever we have an internal communication. Means they do not want to make a request. They just want their internal APIs call and communicate with that. Means it's a more secure than a REST API. Means REST API we can expose the URL, and that's a more something like different. And but in the SOAP API we create a configuration to that server to which it has to be communicated. Suppose if we have to communicate with the Java server, we need to make a configuration file exchange between the Salesforce and the Java, and it will communicate with on the basis of that configuration file. So it's more secure, and it's a way of transferring that it's using SOAP API or using the XML in order to transfer the data from one system to another system. Now the thing is that why it's more there is a one limitation. Means the other thing is that there is a one limitation in the SOAP API inside the Salesforce. That is that whenever suppose I was designing a REST API that will give an information about the contact details, and in that contact details we have a phone number, email, and and name. We can say that last name, phone, and email. These three information I'm sending to a uh, AWS server, meaning whenever the AWS server hit a request that I want to get the information related to a contact, so I will just in that request they will get only for first name, last name, phone, and email. And make the similar configuration in the SOAP API. So I design a configuration file and make the communication between the AWS to make a configuration between the Salesforce and to a legacy system, to their legacy system. Might be legacy system in a local server or in the or install in some other server like AWS or Google, whoever be the server for that system. And I make this configuration via SOAP API. So it will also do the same thing. Now the difference is that whenever the configuration changes inside the Salesforce, suppose I created a new custom field inside a contact object. So for that contact object and that custom field information, I need to send that or I need to expose in that information in the API. So while working with the REST API, it's quite easy. Means we just have to add a new field or make a changes in the query or make a small changes in the Apex class, and it will do. But in terms of SOAP API, it is not as much easy as we can. So we need to make changes in their whole configuration file, re-upload the configuration file, and then do the changes, and then we can able to achieve that new custom field into that our third party server. So that was the quite difference between quite difference between the REST API and the SOAP API. Okay, so now the thing is that first we learn about the REST API, then we go for the SOAP API. Okay, so for learning as a REST API, it's a similar thing that since we are working in the Salesforce, so whatever be the configuration is always present in a two-way. Means there is a standard REST API and there is a custom REST API too. So standard REST API is the thing that Salesforce also provided itself standard REST API that we can use. Sorry, it's not a thing that is standard. Yeah. Okay. Salesforce itself provide a standard REST API, which is called a REST resource. We can also say that it's a standard REST API that help us to perform all the insert, update, delete, or any means these all are what we can see that These are all the methods are available inside the Salesforce that will help us to achieve via its standard REST API. Okay, all the methods you can see that creating, updating, getting values, and all this, any means there are so many operations that we can do with the help of a standard REST API that Salesforce is providing. So for that, for this standard REST API, you need to install a one thing that in order to test, first you need to, in order to work on that standard REST API, you need to know something that before working on the Salesforce REST API. So since the Salesforce is more focused on that security model, since Salesforce is more focused, they expose this API, means you know that they expose that API, you need to add your instance. Instance is that the thing that this is called as an instance of the Salesforce. This one, Cunning Impala, whatever be that dev.ed. This is called as an instance. So they expose that this URL as a REST API so that anyone can hit this URL and get the information in the data. Similarly, if you want to create a record, so you just have to add your instance and then publish that some URL, something like that, and make the URL, and you are able to make a request to the SOAP server. Sorry, make a request to that this REST resource of the Salesforce and do whatever you want to do. But still there is a security issue comes in the Salesforce, because Salesforce is quite more focused on that security. So for that, so before making a request to a this any REST API, we need to do that. We need to make an authentication. Before making, without making an authentication, we can't achieve this thing inside a Salesforce. We can't achieve this thing in a Salesforce. We can't make a request in a REST resource and get. Suppose if I make this request in a if I make this request in the Salesforce, it will not allow me to make a request inside the Salesforce. For making a request, you can install a tool called Postman, and you should have familiar with the Postman, because usually in the interview or someplace they will ask that uh, if you are familiar with the Postman or no. So you have to make yourself comfortable with the Postman,
Yeah,
and
we
in
use
that,
it.
hmm?
We use it, Postman.
Yeah, then that's quite good. And there is no issue. So suppose I make a request to this server and send the information, and it's showing that it's causing some error. Okay, it's give me some error because it will not found whatever the request I'm making. It will always give me an error because we are not because we are not authenticating before making a request. So we need to authenticate uh, before making a request. Why we need to authenticate? First, there is a security model inside the Salesforce. Second, suppose I want to access a data inside a Salesforce, and that data is not visible to me, or that data I don't want to expose, or that data have some security systems over there. So that's why the Salesforce use their add their security model to make authenticate the user via their username password. So whenever we try to achieve a data from the Salesforce, so whatever the permissions applied to on that my profile, it's always applied to whatever with the I want to access from the Salesforce. Okay, whatever I want to access from the Salesforce, and for that accessing to the Salesforce, we need to go through a authentication process, and that authentication process requires our username password, and that username password will generate a authentication token, and that via that token we can make a request to that we can make a request to this URL and get the information. But while working with the username password, so with the access token that generate, it will contains the information about my profiles and my profiles, so that whenever we are making a request to the server, it will also all the my permissions and profile, what the permissions, sharing settings, what will be that I had designed for that particular user, that applies whenever they want to fetch the record. So that's the security model that Salesforce applies whenever you're trying to access the from a REST API. And it's not only to that, it's also applied to a custom thing also. Custom, whenever you design a custom REST API, right now we are working with the standard REST API, and then we will design our custom REST API so that we can work with the custom REST API. But before that, we have to know that what is the standard REST API and how we are going to work with the standard REST API. Okay, so you all are familiar with the Postman. If you're not, then install the Postman in your org. It's just a small tool. Uh, you can download over any place. You can just download it from the Google and then install in your system. It's an easy. You just have to install in your system. After that, let's do an authentication process inside the Salesforce. Authentication. It's also authentication, but it's using some other. Always throw me here. Priya, can you give me that URL of that authentication? Well, it's not the simplest one. I think I've sent it to. Can you give me that? Only that URL second. That will have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. Okay, I got it. Leave it. I got that. So I need to prepare a post method, something like that, and then need to do that authentication process. Okay, then so for that before making for the authentication of the user, for the whatever, let's or just let's have a break. I think you guys need a break. Thereafter we discuss about that. Okay, let's have a small break, 10 minutes break, and then we come and discuss about that, how we do the authentication. So we need to design a custom app and all those things, and you should have to remember the steps, because these are the very important steps for making a request to any third-party server. So that's why. Okay, so let's come back and see what happens after 10 minutes. Bye. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello, here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So as we discussed that we are making a, request to, we are using a standard Salesforce REST API for getting the data and making changes in the data. All those things we are going to do that. But before that, we need to follow some steps so that we can get this authentication token. You remember this is the authentication token that we need to get for our org, and then we can make a request. That's an important thing for that's a very important thing to get an authentication token. And this kind of setup we have to do at any place whenever we need to make any integration between us any third-party system to the Salesforce. Meaning, whenever third-party system wants to fetch the data from the Salesforce, then he has to make a setup, something like that. And so we just using that setup means we just doing that setup for, means suppose this postman wants to fetch the data from that Salesforce. So what's the setup that he needs to do? So if the postman can do, anyone can do. So any other tool can do. So that's the thing. So before making a request to a Salesforce, we need to make a we need to do some configuration inside the Salesforce. So that's first thing in that configuration is that we need to make a connected app. Connected app is connected app in a Salesforce which help us to authenticate that user. Means its only process is to authenticate that user. That connected app will help us to and it is does not necessary you should create a connected app inside the Salesforce to which we are trying you if you are trying to communicate. If that connected app can be present at anywhere, means it is can be present from it can be belongs to any other Salesforce org, any other org, it doesn't matter. But if you create a connected app, that connected app will help us to that connected app will give means that connected app is used to authenticate that user. So let's create a connected app, then we move further. So for creating a connected app, go to the setup and type app manager. And here you can see that there is an option called create a new connected app. So I'm clicking here and try to create a new connected app from here. I need to open in a classic. I don't know why it's always saying me that. So let's create a connected app. So let's make it my first connected app. And for the contact email, I'm putting, yeah, this one. Contact phone I'm leaving as it is, blanks, everything as blank. And then I will enable this oath setting. Then it will it is asking for a callback URL. Since we are doing via postman, means since we are doing everything via postman, so that callback URL, it's an we can here it is a required thing, but it is not usable in this postman. Since in this postman it is not usable, but if you are doing any suppose authentication from our custom website or any custom domain or any suppose I did build a website and that website you want to access the Salesforce data and I want to make a login, so user has to be login in that place and get access to the Salesforce data. So at that moment, that connected call, that callback URL help us. Means whenever the authentication got successful, after the successful, which URL he has to be written, means which URL he has to be reached. So whenever suppose I was let's instead of, there must be a sub example callback, so it help us to understand.
Suresh,
Hmm.
for Salesforce, like whenever we have login account, only our employers have login account, right? And if we want to give customers some kind of access, we use third party and using this one.
No. That is not for that one. It is only for that if you don't want to means if you don't you want to use Salesforce not as a Salesforce, you want to use Salesforce as a database, and your whole system is working on any other server, suppose might be in PHP or any web designing language, or in AWS server, or it means it belongs to any some other language, but you want to use Salesforce as a database. At that time you have to make a connection between your technology with the Salesforce. So that time this kind of thing is usable.
But let's say there's a scenario you want to have serve your customers on the Salesforce, give them account, and they can manage their account, that kind of thing. So for each one of them, you need to pay a separate account fee, or each customer, like, or can you give them like, because external customers, if they're not login, you're not paying for them, right? To the Salesforce.
Yeah, if they are not logged in, they are not paying for the Salesforce. Yeah, correct. But this is kind of exposing the things, exposing your data, exposing your information to outside the world. This is a kind of that thing. And if you means a single user means, suppose in that authentication we use the username and password. We just create a user which is you just create a user, means inside a go to user and create a user and share that username and password to anyone, to the public, means whatever whoever try to access to the Salesforce, just share that username. So single user can, that you means that user, whatever with the profiles and permission, that your newly created user can able to access that thing. So it's a kind of thing, not to log in, not to verifying the data. It's a kind of thing exposing the data to the public thing. Means
Okay,
exposing the data.
okay, everyone will use the same username in this case.
Yeah, means might be, means it's a use case that everyone can use the same username password, but they can also use the different username password if you have a lots of user and they want to, suppose you are building a mobile app. Suppose you are building a mobile app, you are not using the Salesforce one mobile app, you are building a custom mobile app, that you have everything in custom. So at that case you need to build that such kind of authentication. Yeah, you need to follow this kind of authentication and to in order to communicate with that Salesforce. So any other means, it's just a thing that API are used to expose the data, means expose the information, expose the data of the Salesforce to anyone can, who does not want to who has not physically has to access, he does not have to access to the Salesforce, he wants to access to any third party tool, and that any third party thing, and that third party thing communicate with the Salesforce and get the data from the Salesforce. It's only to exposing the data. Okay, so it's totally depend on the system that you have developed in in your third party. Just like I'm talking about, if you are developing a mobile app, and that mobile app have an use Salesforce as a database. So at that time we need to, and that moment we can use that user in the place of username password. We just use that Salesforce username password of that user, and then in the backend I will do such kind of thing which it is mentioned up here, that I will create a connected app and do the things and get the access token. On the basis of access token, I get the information of all those things, suppose my products and all those things, to my mobile app. Means it's just a thing that if you want to get any data from the Salesforce, or you want to post any data or want to create any records inside so it's a kind of thing that anyone can without means any third party system want to access to the Salesforce, that thing is doable via this. Okay, hope you got some point.
My question is, like, if we are giving access to anyone, if we are creating a user, is there any difference between user types as costs? Like, either it's admin or like client. If anybody has password and username, does it count as one access point kind of thing and as the cost? Why
Okay,
is-
okay. You're talking about the cost. So actually, the Salesforce cost is based on the user. Yeah, correct. Means if you are creating a new user, so their charges got increases. If you look at the cost of the Salesforce, they are charging as a per user per month.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
so if you're purchasing a new user, then it will it will cost you more.
okay, there is no difference between the user, like if they are internal, external users, there is no difference. That kind of.
No, there's a difference. Because you can get the external user whenever you purchase any license. So it based on the license, you will get means I think 5,000 external user you can get only few, I think 2 or 3 internal user. Means it's based on the license, but the external user has so many in the number.
But external users, do you pay for them also, or
No,
like,
they do not have to pay. They do not have to pay.
and does external users get passwords and usernames also?
Yeah, they can get the password, username and password first from the Salesforce. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if you build an application, you can give external users password and username. They
Just
can
like that. Yeah, correct.
This was my question. Like, even on your mobile app, you can give your customers username and password. They can access their Salesforce on your mobile app. Okay.
Actually,
This-
we want to check here what's the number of external users. So just like that,
Mhm.
we have 2 Salesforce licenses and we have 5 community plus. These are called as external user. Okay.
Okay.
So we have five users I can create with the external users,
But
and 5. Yeah, so that's the thing. We can create a custom. This is called as a customer community user or customer community login plus user.
Mhm.
Okay. While we study about the community, then we will talk about these kind of user. Okay.
But on
So that's
I think more is free. More account is free. Like for if you got like real Salesforce account, are they still giving you 5 or
no, it's a 5,000. It's starting from the 5,000.
okay? They don't want people to use this for commercial use because of that they limit it to 5, I guess. Okay.
Let me check in my production account. I think this is my username and password.
So with this test account, we can create an application like customer account and try the customer interface also.
Yeah, custom interface. Everything you can do in a custom way. So let's receive the username and password. Suraj. So actually, this I want to check mine. This is my production account. So
Give us access.
yeah, I have a production account.
Are you like using this for testing or like do you do like for your company?
Yeah, actually, our App Exchange, when you publish an App Exchange, the Salesforce provide a production account to you, and it has all the production things over there. Means you can do all the production thing. So at that moment, I got this, and it's showing me some which email address I forget that email address.
And is it free? Like if you provide something to App Exchange, or you are still paying?
No, it's a free. If you are publishing a free app, then it will be free. If you are publishing a paid app, then you have to pay for the app. Add an app to that App Exchange.
So you have your own app on the App Exchange. We should
Yeah, we have.
download and give you more. What do you say?
This I installed that. If you know App Exchange.
A bit confused, and I am disconnected from your conversation. What are we exactly doing? Seriously, I'm asking. Sorry.
I get.
We are just discussing about some users. That how many users we can get. Yeah, this is our app. We published in a
We were talking
App
about
Exchange.
API. Now
App Exchange. Huh?
we were talking about API. It was
Yeah, we just got some away from that API thing. So that's a app exchange app. So whenever we create an app exchange app and publish your app exchange to the app to the app exchange, then we got a production access. Then Salesforce provide you a production. So for the testing, they provide the production, but we have production. That's the thing that, and we are not paying anything to the Salesforce for that production, because usually the user purchase any production, then they have to pay at 150, approximately $150 per user per month. So it's a so if you publish any app to this app exchange, they will provide an production app, and it has a 25 sandboxes free. They are giving us free. So that's the thing. Okay, coming back to the original point, that whenever we need to communicate to the Salesforce via third party, we need to design a connected app, which you can find up here. And in that connected app, you will see there is a callback URL. That callback URL is a thing that whenever we are trying to make a authentication from any system that that have a custom UI, and that has a custom UI, and then after the user enter their login name and password, then and after the successful authentication, when in which URL that Salesforce it will redirect to. You suppose that it will that means usually the system usually the person has designed something like that whenever the successful URL successful authentication takes place, it will redirect to a custom page so that we can get the access token from the URL. So it's a kind something like that. We can use this. I'm just copying and pasting it, because in our case it does not in use. So, and since the required field, so I need to add. And in the real case scenario, this will be in that place, instead of this localhost this server, since localhost server, we will post our custom domain name over up here, custom domain or custom server name, anything that belongs to our thing. And from here I'm giving full access, so that I can access all the information, and then I will hit the save. So once the save is got finished, it will take 2 or 3 minutes to activate. So once the connected app completed, then it will give us the two things, that consumer key and consumer secret. That is the important thing while working. So let's copy this consumer key. No, before that, let's set up first thing, thereafter we can copy. So let's set up the postman. So we need to open the postman, and then I need to copy the methods that is providing up here. I need to copy this URL, that you have to copy this URL and then paste up here. Okay, then we have to do a post, and then we have to put the parameters. Let's add the parameters in the body. X URL formed. First is grant type. Here it is, grant type. Is password. Grant type is password. Then we have a client ID, and in the client ID client ID is this one, consumer key. I pasted up here. Then I have to client secret. Client secret is the consumer key, and here is the consumer secret, and I need to copy. I copy that and paste up here. Then I have to get the username. That username here, and username of this URL, it is user. Let's here it is. Why everything is shifting to the classic? I'm not sure why it's doing this. So this is my username. I copy the username. Here it is. I paste it up here. Now it's asking for my password. Yeah, here is the password. And password is Sunday at the 1100. And then it's not, if we right now send it, it throws an error. Yeah, invalid grant, it throws an error because this password is not completed. We need to also add a security token. How we get the security token? That's the important thing. That in order to get the security token, you have to visit here, come up here and click the setting. And here you type to security. It's not found in the, it will not found on your, what is that, setup. It's found in the setting. And then here you can find, where it's gone. Yeah, no. 11 access. Security Central, I think. Why it's always try to open in a classic. Let's.
Siraj, I thought you said at the beginning that we are getting security token from the API request.
That is the access token. That is the access token.
Okay, this is what token?
This is security token.
Security token. Okay. So are we gonna use
Security token is generated by the Salesforce so that your password will be verified. It's a kind of a any API if you are working, it's a.
Okay, I understand. Every post request has to have this security token.
No, not every post request. In order to generate every authentication token.
Okay.
Yeah, in order to generate the authentication token, the token must have that security token, and it is not showing me up here. That's a pretty strange. And click here to open a class. I'm not sure why it's not displaying me here. Let's convert into the classic. And then I go to setting. No, I think authentication to external system.
In personal information section.
Yeah, but it's not showing the security token. What happens to this?
Password reset.
No, it's not that. Wow.
Go to the personal information.
It's not
And
available. If I reset the password, I get the notification regarding to that. Security token. Here. One more thing, you know that how to reset the password. Yeah. You guys have know that how to reset your password, because it's a whenever you are doing this, you need to know that your password. Currently, you are login via Trailhead account, right? In your Salesforce or no? Anyone who is want to answer that?
I know how.
Yeah, it's a thing that you need to just reset your password, and whenever your password reset finished, Salesforce send an email, and that email contains the security token. Since I just reset my password, so it send me a security token, so I can use that security token. And I'm not sure why it's not. Usually, it is coming up here in this section. It's not available. I'm not sure what has happened. There is this option called tab called security, and that contains the security token. But it send me the token. Means if you change your password, you can get the security token, and you have to just paste that icon up here and hit the send. Now add again, so invalid count. It's a password. Everything is correct. Post authentication params.
Maybe you have to choose none because you don't have a post body request body. Yeah, if you try none, or
None means nobody. You need to.
delete You didn't have body. You had headers. Those are headers, right?
No, these are the body. It's not saying that. If you look at here, it's not talking that you need to set as a header.
Okay, I thought it said it.
I think this.
Then why don't you copy paste all?
Hmm?
This is JSON format, right?
No, this is not a JSON format. It's saying that -d does not. If it is a header, then it will show that -h, but it's not a header. It's a curl language. So in curl language, -d is something else. So, and it's be set as a body as a XURL format, and it's not authenticating. Invalid client ID. It's showing me error that invalid client ID might be the while copying on the client ID, I make mistakes. Let's have a look. I copied this and let's paste up here. Not showing me invalid grant. What happened to this? I'm working on the wrong place. That's why I haven't reset my password to this one. It's my not a developer or it's a. Let me reset a password for this so that I can get the security token. So it's send me reset password link to my email address. Okay, I got. Okay, come up here. Date. At this moment, it's showing me that. No, it's not. But once I finish the setting, it should. There's a box called reset my security token. That option is not available. I don't know what happened to this one. No, it's not available up here. That's a pretty strange thing I found.
Search for the reset my security token. It's visible.
Yeah, it's not visible for this account. Yeah, it's not visible for this account, the Strelad account.
Yeah, because in developer it's visible.
Might be this. No, it's coming up here. Okay, it's due to that. So API. Let's reset the security token. I reset the security token, and now I get an email regarding to the security token. I got the security token, this one. Now I need to use the security token here and send it. Now, once I send that, I can see that I can got the access token. Okay, I got the access token. I got the instance. That is the most important thing. I got the instance. Okay, these two things I need to further access in that further access, and this is called as a JSON. JSON is a kind of thing that it's an object that contains the key and value pairs. I mean, it's an object. This curly braces says that it's an object, and this is in a key and value pair. Key value. All the key values means on this key we can get this value. So JSON is a thing that contains the key and value pairs. Now we need to use this access token and this instance URL for the further communication with the Salesforce. So let's have a look at what are the APIs are available inside the Salesforce so that we can communicate with the Salesforce. So I got the login. That's login successful. Now I need to fetch the details. So where is that? Yes, I got the login. Yeah, here it's fine. So first, if you want to get the any data service that data, it's not. I mean, suppose let's try this one. And in this one, I need to modify the instance URL. So there, and then post, and then instance URL. I need to use this one. What will be the instance URL I'm getting? So I'm copying up here, and then I paste it here. Okay, actually my so the Salesforce.com is already, and then I need to make headers in that header. Authorization and BLF, then space, and then add our access token. And then send. Post, sorry, it's a method is available up here. It's saying that I think it's a get method. It's not a specifying, but I think it's a get method. That's why method not available up here saying that. You can get the whatever with the what is provide the information summer 18 summer 19 releases versions. Let's work with some more specified tasks. Means let's do some DML operations. Yeah, let's work with the records so you can be more. Now it's the same, and then we need to add this one to get the account details instead of data. As object called account, and then I hit that get, and then what I need to put up here that it's for the creating a record. So it's added the header. You can see that in the curl language is saying that if it is a header, it's saying that -h. So it's a Then we have a connected type, sorry, content type. Let's add that content type in here, and then application JSON. Okay, now in the body I need to add this one, this field name, field API name. Raw, this one. So it's a thing that I can add the name and then this one. So whenever I hit the send, means that will be post. So whenever I hit the send, it will create an account with this name, and as a response I will get the ID of that account. So let's click on that. The request resource does not exist. URL is correct. Services that data. I added the header, content type, header, anything else okay. Or but not for the request, the resource. Requested resource does not exist, saying that it's not exist. No, that's correct. What happened? Oh. It's working up here, but it's not working there. Yeah, it's working here. Then why it's not working here?
Suraj, could you try version 50 maybe? Today mine is not worked also. I tried it version 50, it worked.
Yeah, you are correct. Okay, that's the issue. So let's create this one. Thanks for that. It's working fine. So it's create with this. It's create with the name of this, and then once it creates something successful, it's send ID as a callback. So let's check it. Here you can see that account name is created with this, information. Suppose I want to some more information. So it's a just like a I will put the API name of that field name. Where is that? Edit object. Field API name. I will use the field API name to fill out the values. Suppose I want to add the site. So it's site. I will put a comma. Inverted site. And suppose I want to add a number of employees. So let's click on there. Where is the postman? Since that is a number, so it will behave as a number 12, 122, and I hit the that's a new. It's got created. Let's check up here. What happened? It's due to that fact that the record type, we created a record type, and that default record type has the I tried to create a person account. It's not, again, it's showing me that not able to do it. I'm not sure why it's not doing that. Let's make for the system admin. Let's change the page layout so that we can see the account layout and save it. The account page layout has so many details, why it's not showing up here. Let's do, means similarly you can do that. Means it's a thing that if you want to connect with an, just like that, you remember the S objects. In the S object, we studied that whenever we need to do a lookup thing, and since it's a parent account, and I want to attach this parent account with some of the different accounts, so I need to do that lookup thing. So for that, I will come up here, and I think it's parent ID, and do the ID in that, so it will get attached. Yeah, you can see that I created and it's get attached. The same concept is working everywhere. Means the concept that you have learned earlier, that how the S objects are behaving, the same concept is also applicable up here. That if you want to add a number field, that it will be number. If you add any ID, means if you want to attach with any ID, then you have to do something like that. You just have to put the ID of that. If you want to attach with any means, if you want to make a relationship any of the record, then you have to just put the ID of that record over up here, and it will get attached. Okay, so in this way we are working. Means we can create a record. If you want to update a record, or if you want to get information about that record, suppose I want to get information about this created account, so I will just like that. I will go up here. It has some methods. If you look at that, it has some methods that will help us to get the information here. Get a field value from the standard objects. So this is where you have to put the ID of that thing. So I will have to put the ID. So I will put the ID, and then I need to also use the, instead of post, I have to use the get. So let's use the get and then send. So as a response, I can see that all the information, all the account information are coming up here. Every field information you can see it is coming up here. And suppose I want to see only few fields. So at that time, it has a method. You can see up here, it has a method that you just have to put a question mark and then put the fields with a comma separated values. So just if you can put that and hit the get. So only the fields which have you have queried, just like account number, billing postal code. So account number and billing postal code is showing up here. And this is the difference. In any query, you will get the ID of the record. Means either you will query or not query, you will get the ID. And this is the default thing that it says that it is an S object whose type is account. Okay, now since suppose I want to update that information. So in the same way, just like create a JSON. I want to update the account number to, and then okay, and I want to update. So for update, let's have a look, because the method also are changing while update a record. Suppose I want to update that record. So it's saying that for updating a record, we should have to ID is in a parameter. So let's put an ID. So it's not should be here. Let's remove that. Its ID will present up here. And method is changed. Method is changed to patch. Yeah, it is also saying that -x patch. So it means that patch method we need to use. So instead of get, we need to use the patch and then send the information. Why is that? Oh, in the last I have put the comma, that's why. So once it's updated, it will throw no error. Let's check that it's updated or no. So for checking that it's updated or no, just change it to get, and you can see the what is the field I had queried. Here. Let's do what I had done, or might be it's available. Okay. You can see that it's got updated. Means whatever the I put the here, it's got updated. And if you want to see up here in the real case, you can just come up here and you can see account number is populating up here. And one more field I updated, that is billing postal code. It's NY. So that is help us to update a record, and you can also update, delete any. There are so many operations. It's not only just 2 or 3 operations. There are so many operations available up here. You can perform. Means you can traverse the friendly URLs or something. There are so many ways to retrieve a record or put a record. Means there you can do also you can do a query. Means suppose if you want to do a query just like that, working with the searches and query, just have to, if you have to execute a query, just have to do something like that. This one, it's calling some authentication barrier token. Then remove it, and then I will do the cut, and then I need to change up here, and I think I need to use get, so it's okay. That put body as a none, and then send. You can see that it shows me that how the number of records I can got and all the details of the record. Means the field which I query, select name from account. So I got 22 accounts, and it's showing me all the result. So this is the way how it's working. Means you can do a query, you can do means any option that are available up here. you can do the query from up here, or a search a string, anything, since anything you can do up here, no issue in that. You can do all this operation that are available up here. There are so many operations, or you can visit one by one, or whenever you get a get a chance to work with the APIs. So always try to look at the is any standard API is available over up here that will achieve our situation or no. Usually we got stuck in a situation that whenever, because that this API, this standard Salesforce API cannot able to handle the multiple records. It's not able to handle the multiple records. At that time, we need to build a custom API. Means if you have to work with the multiple records, and before getting the records, you need to process on that record, make some customization on the record. So at that time, we need to build a custom API. We will talk about that first, but before that, you have to just have a look at up here, and before that, just set up the postman and get the access token. That's the important
Kızım
thing.
dersini yapacağız.
What is?
She's talking for her daughter. Sorry, Suraj.
Okay, so you can you just come up here and just try to take a look at that, what's the fields and what's the things are available, how we are making a request to a standard Salesforce API. So standard Salesforce API, you can easily get the records and just work with the records, just play with the records. And before that, just play with the postman. Postman is an important tool that you have to use in your future assignments, or in the future whenever you are trying to develop an API. So you have to do something like that. You have to work with the postman, because the postman is a tool that is usually which is help us to make a request. If you're not able to run the postman, there are so many other also tools available, but the postman is a quite easy to use. That's why every company recommend to use the postman. Apart from that, there are so many REST client. These are known as the REST client. Means this postman is a type of a REST client that help us to test our REST APIs. So this is the way. Okay, so any questions?
Yeah, I know how it works, the postman. I didn't get it why we need this. I mean, we did get post. We can create a value on Salesforce, record on Salesforce. We can get the data by Salesforce. Why we need this in real world? I mean.
Yeah, so it's only for that. The suppose we don't want to go to the Salesforce. We want to that data is handled from some other place. At that time, we use this APIs. Whenever the person doesn't want to reach that the Salesforce and want to handle the data in the mobile app or in some other places apart from the Salesforce.
Okay, I mean, so you mean when for example, the company started to get the data from Salesforce without opening the Salesforce.
Yeah, they are using the Salesforce as a database, not as a application. They are using Salesforce as a database. They want to retrieve the database and work with in any other.
Yeah, that they are trying to create a new application, but they want to use the same data, and they are using the data. They are retrieving the data from Salesforce with using the Postman.
Yeah, so we are testing that thing via Postman, that how it's work. Before implementation, we need to test that our API is working or no. So for the testing purpose, we use this Postman.
Got it. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Suraj, you said this Postman thing is just a testing. So how do you actually transfer the data from the third party, from the Salesforce to third party tool, third party application or that database? How do you do that?
It's the same way. Means for the third party tool has to do the same configuration. He has to do make a HTTP request to the Salesforce via this header, and this what will be that by this header means authorization and content type, and then he has to make a get request. So in order to get the data, he has to do same configuration inside that application. I can't demonstrate it because for that I need to set up a third-party tool for and then do the coding over there. But it's only for the testing that it's our API is working. How we need, what configuration that we need to do in our app, third-party app, so that it will work with the Salesforce. So it's a REST client is only used to test the REST APIs.
So this is developers' jobs to test endpoints and give it to the application.
So I will just prepare that
Right.
thing and give to the developer and send to the developer so that he could do the coding so that he can communicate with the Salesforce. I
Okay.
can
There's
prepare this
different
configuration. I will prepare this configuration and send that configuration to our third-party developer, and that developer will do the coding and get the information. So
Okay.
for that thing, we need to do that something like that.
Right. So as a developer, our job to create this file, like how they are going to access, and remaining job is to like mobile app developer or whatever they are going to configure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Suraj, here we saw the example or the scenario from the Salesforce to another third-party database, right? But you said that the opposite one is also possible, and between these two, to test the connection or communication between these two databases, we use Postman.
It's only for the testing. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Postman will not do anything kind of things, that it will just for the testing, nothing else, nothing more, so that we can check that API is working correctly or not.
And also, does Salesforce automatically gets data from external APIs?
For that, in order to Salesforce to get data from any external API, that external API should also do a similar thing that we are doing up here. We also have some API in which we have to do, Salesforce has to make some authentication and get the details from there.
For that one, like, are we going to learn that one also? Is it separate issue? Like how?
Yeah, on that one we are also take a look on that one. No issue. Just like if you are doing a Google API is also think that it's developed by something and it has some way to do the authentication, all the process we need to follow, and then we have to make a request to that with these things, client ID and client secret and all those things, and then after that we can get the data. So it's also think that whenever we have to, Salesforce has to get data from any other server, so they have to follow their documentation, then how the APIs are working. So in that case, they have also just like if you want to extract the data from the Google, so we need to create a client ID and client secret on the Google server, and then use their method is to just use in this way, and then send a new some just like that. Salesforce has this URL in order to access. In order to get that information, Salesforce has this kind of URL. Similarly, the Google has this kind of URL, just like that, console.google.credential. Concept is really, always remains same, but the method has changed. Concept is always remains same. We need to do authentication. We need to just get the access token and then try to get the records. This is the main concept on which the API is working. Salesforce, all the APIs are working, and their ways are different to generating the access token. Okay. So this is the thing. So if Salesforce has to take the data, Salesforce has to make a request and get that. We also discuss about that point, not issue. First, we are discussing about the APIs, that how we get the information from the Salesforce. After that, we will get the Salesforce will get the information from any other server, means might be Google or any other thing. We will discuss about that too.
Suraj, I think MuleSoft does something similar. Like
Yeah,
just
MuleSoft just something similar. Yeah, correct.
Can you talk about a little bit like comparison differences, like plus plus and minuses on the both side?
MuleSoft always have the plus point instead of this. I will discuss about that, but MuleSoft have the plus point instead of this APIs, custom APIs. Since we have a standard APIs, and standard APIs just like that I talk about, that standard APIs cannot handle multiple records. We can't do any customization in that in this API. So for that customization, MuleSoft will help. We can take a help of a MuleSoft. Instead of writing any custom API inside the Salesforce, we will integrate with the MuleSoft. MuleSoft will request to that standard Salesforce API, and we can do the customization on that API on the responses that we got from the Salesforce, and then send that information to any third party. MuleSoft will also act as a middleware that will take the information from this one party and send the information to the other party. MuleSoft will also act as a middleware. So
basically, the standard API is REST, whatever, standard custom. They kind of like both. It's also handled by the MuleSoft as well. So the does the same job as MuleSoft does.
Okay. Because MuleSoft is much more powerful.
Maybe like
that's why they
probably.
Yeah, it's much more powerful. That's why they are taking lots of money. They are charging the user.
But functionally, it's doing the same thing, right?
Functionality, they are doing the same thing. In the functional way, they are doing the same thing. They're just transferring the data from one place to another place. They are doing nothing. Means MuleSoft doing nothing. Just transferring the data one place to another place. Just provide a fancy way so that we can manipulate the data before sending or receiving.
Okay.
Yeah. They just hold the data and manipulate the data. Suppose I want to I will get the account number and billing code, but to the third party system that he wants that account name and billing code must be say something like that. It should be account code, and it means they have some system that they will accept the account code, and it is a concatenation of that this one and this one. So in the MuleSoft, I will generate a method that will concatenate this one and this one and send to that server. So it's a kind of example that just process the response which we get from the another party and send to response to the third party, and then what will be the response in the middleware, I will just change the response and then send that response to the any other party. So it's just a thing that MuleSoft is a thing that it will take the information from one server or one first party, if you make changes in that response, and then send that information or send the response to the second party.
So basically more customizable, looks like.
Yeah. Right now we can't do any customization. Right now we can't do any customization in the standard Salesforce API and standard Salesforce REST API. We can't do any customization. For doing a customization, we can develop our custom REST API. We will talk about that, how we develop a custom REST API. And if you don't want to design any custom API, then you have to go to the MuleSoft. MuleSoft will do that all the job, because if you're designing a custom API, that will means it's a one-time cost, and you will just have to design a custom REST API and everything is working fine. But the MuleSoft is a different thing. It's charging most. I mean, it's totally depend on the cost that the company wants to pay. If it is so many things that means it is most of the things handled, and you can do the things, and many more functionality also available that we can do the scheduling over there. We can do scheduling is also provided by the MuleSoft, that in a particular time it will get the data and post the data to some other server. So these kind of things that we can do, and this kind of thing also possible in the Salesforce in a custom way. Means in a custom way, Salesforce also can do that thing, but that's a different thing. Means whatever the requirement says, we have to do that. If we have to build a custom thing, then we build the custom thing. If we have to build the MuleSoft, then we build the MuleSoft. But the knowledge you have to you have the knowledge of everything. That's the important thing.
it looks like we likely encounter this situation from transferring from one database to another, Salesforce to third party, because it looks like very common, because when we work in the real case, there will be always legacy system or third party system that we have to transfer from one place to another when they're launching the Salesforce, or keep changing the tools, or transferring the tools one place to another. Yeah, it looks like it's very common practice they will be facing in the
You're correct.
Yeah.
This is a very common use case. Means, in every time you're working with, you have to send an information, because usually we got a situation in every project, approximately in every project you will face such kind of situation. You want to transfer the data from Salesforce to any other server, or get the data from any other server to the inside the Salesforce.
Right.
So usually you will not face the MuleSoft. Means so people are using MuleSoft. Usually you don't face that thing. Usually you have to build a custom REST APIs. Okay, so that's the thing. Because MuleSoft is charging, and so usually the customer don't want to use the MuleSoft only for the small thing or only for the particular job. They are using MuleSoft only when they have a lots of database. Means their database is so much complex, and they want to all the database to be at one place. So that's why they are using the MuleSoft. Else the companies are not using the MuleSoft. MuleSoft is taking cost. It's total about the job. It's the job is small, then why we should move to the MuleSoft.
right, if it doesn't require, so there's no point to.
Okay, any more questions?
Gracias, senor. Thank you very much, Raj.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Everything is good, looks like.
Thank you.
At least just try the things that Postman thing, install the Postman thing, and give yourself a chance.
Yeah, we will try it. We'll watch it.
Okay, then bye.
Here's this, Suraj. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.